This is going to absolutely blow your mind. They recently concluded the trial of Hanna Gutierrez-Reed, who was the armorer on the set of Rust and was just convicted of involuntary manslaughter for the shooting that occurred in October of 2021. What they established during that trial is what exactly happened leading up to that tragic date. And what we learned is not only shocking, but tragic. Hi, I'm Daniel M. Rosenberg. I'm a criminal defense attorney and the founding partner of Rosenberg, Perry & Associates. It is also my personal goal and passion to provide information and education to individuals before they become involved and entrenched in the system. And I've recently done a few videos on Alec Baldwin and his involvement in the fatality that occurred on the Rust set in 2021. But in addition to Alec Baldwin, two other members of that production have been criminally charged. One is David Hall, an assistant director who pled no contest to negligent handling of a firearm. In exchange for that plea, he was sentenced to 6 months of unsupervised probation. He also received 24 hours of community service, a $500 fine. He's required to take a gun safety course and is also required to testify at all subsequent trials relating to this incident. The second individual who was charged was Hanna Gutierrez, who just recently went to trial. The first question is, what happened at this trial? So firstly, Hanna Gutierrez had two charges that she was facing. The first was involuntary manslaughter, the second was tampering with evidence. And the prosecutor's theory was that Ms. Gutierrez failed to maintain firearms safety, making a fatal accident willful and foreseeable. So the thrust of this case is that her lack of attention to detail was willful conduct, and her lack of attention to detail made these incidents foreseeable. Therefore, she's guilty of involuntary manslaughter. So what is the conduct that the state established that showed that she failed to maintain firearm safety? Well, they established that when you are an armorer on a set of a movie, you have complete control and autonomy over the safety and security of the weapons, the ammunition, and the conduct surrounding the handling of the weapons and ammunition. So the buck stopped with her, so to speak. And what was the conduct that she was responsible for, and what exactly did she do? Well, they showed pictures and video from the set. They showed pictures of the firearms being held with the barrel facing up, which they're not supposed to do. They have one photograph where the barrel is actually sitting directly in front of Ms. Gutierrez's face. Certainly something you're not supposed to be doing. They're also not allowed to let actors play with the guns or point them at one another, both of which happened. In fact, they have some photographs of a child actor holding and pointing the firearm. They also have evidence and testimony establishing that she left prop guns unattended. At no point are you ever supposed to leave a firearm unattended when you're the armorer. Ms. Gutierrez did that regularly. She was also not taking steps to check dummy rounds to establish they were in fact not live. You can do that by looking to see if there's a hole in it or shaking it. All of the witnesses that testified indicated that they never saw Gutierrez taking any of these safety measures or checking any of the dummy firearms. And probably the most significant claim that she failed to maintain proper safety of the firearms is that she brought live rounds onto the set. At no point were there ever supposed to be live rounds on the set. So one of the defense arguments was, we didn't bring the live rounds onto the set, it wasn't our fault, it was somebody else. So how did they establish that Ms. Gutierrez brought these live rounds onto the set? Because the defense was arguing that dummy rounds were brought in by an outside entity. And that outside entity was the one that brought on the live rounds, so it wasn't us, it was them. The problem is, those rounds came onto the set on October 12th, 2021. The state was able to take photographs from October 10th, 2 days earlier, and show that there were live rounds in the box that Ms. Gutierrez was drawing from throughout the set. So what's the conclusion? Ms. Gutierrez brought them onto the set. Well, how do we know she brought them onto the set? Because after the incident, Ms. Gutierrez provided a statement to police. And in that statement, she acknowledged that she brought this particular box of ammunition, which she thought were dummies, onto the set, and therefore all of the bullets that were in that box were brought to the set by her. Side note, this is another reason why you should invoke your right to remain silent and not provide voluntary statements when you are under investigation for a criminal charge. And what they were also able to establish is from October 10th to October 21st, the day of the fatal shooting, there were 6 live rounds floating throughout the various guns and prop guns on that set. They showed numerous pictures. Multiple times, Alec Baldwin's holster has at least 1 live round in it. Unbeknownst to everyone on the set, including Miss Gutierrez, they were walking around with live bullets in their gun. All right, so what was the ultimate conclusion? Miss Gutierrez was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and found not guilty of tampering with evidence. So now that she's convicted, she's facing up to 18 months in state prison. So after the verdict was issued, Miss Gutierrez was taken into custody. So at this point, Alec Baldwin remains indicted, and he is scheduled to go to trial in July of 2024. In order to convict Alec Baldwin, the state's going to need to prove that he acted recklessly with regard to gun safety. During Miss Gutierrez's trial, they showed clips of Alec Baldwin pointing and shooting his firearm in the direction of the camera. The argument is going to be that he was reckless, that he should never be pointing at the camera and firing, even if he believes it's a blank. In addition, they have a clip of Alec Baldwin firing even after the director yelled cut, the argument being that he again failed to maintain safety and he was reckless in his conduct. Another issue in the case is that Alec Baldwin has always claimed that he was doing a gun draw maneuver, and that's when the gun went off. And there was testimony during this trial that that maneuver was never in the script. So there was never a need for him to maneuver and manipulate the gun. There was never a need for him to then point the gun at the direction of the camera. There's also the issue of whether or not he in fact pulled the trigger, whether or not the gun was damaged, whether it was operating properly. And also what we found out from this trial is that before the gun was handed to Alec Baldwin, he was told that it is a cold gun, meaning he was advised, this is a cold gun, this doesn't have any live ammunition in it, and Alec Baldwin relied on that. That is going to be a significant argument that Alec Baldwin is relying on. So now the Miss Gutierrez trial is completed, the next up is Alec Baldwin. We'll see if he enters a plea and resolves his case, the charge is dismissed, or he proceeds to trial. So if you or someone you know has been charged with a crime or offense here in New Jersey, please contact our office. We're happy to help in any way that we can. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if there's a topic or case you'd like to learn more about, please contact my office or leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about it. We are criminal trial lawyers. We have your back. That's what we do.